Hey everybody, in this video we are going to jump right in and start off modeling some of these accessory pieces that are not necessarily the main focus, but are definitely important to maintain this silhouette. So what I'm going to do is move to the side, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to start making a couple of these frames. So these frames are fairly straightforward. All I want to do is I'm going to go to add mesh cube. I'm going to go to my front view here, and I just want to line this up with the this shape and size, so I can actually hide this. I just want this to be the same shape and size as you see this frame, and I just want to make this a little bit larger. Maybe just, I want it to be proportionally larger, so I want it to be as the extra tall and extra wide, the kind of the same amount there as this opening. Okay, so now if I were to exit that X-ray mode, looks pretty good. I want to now make sure it's kind of the right thickness, about there. Seems to be about the right thickness. I'm just going to push this in a little bit so I can see it go into the mesh. That looks pretty good. And now if I were to select this face and I were to, let's say, inset it, you're going to see it gives me a little bit of a kind of a uneven look. So what I want to do instead is go to my object mode with that F4 key, go to object and apply scale. And now if I enter my face mode, which is a 3 key, otherwise you can go edit mode, face. And now if I were to hit the inset face, which is I can now push this in, and it should be a pretty even look. Maybe I want to go a little more than that. Maybe something like this looks pretty good to me. And then what I want to do next is I'm just going to isolate this in local mode, so Shift I to enter local mode. And I'm going to start off by deleting this back face here. So just delete that face since I won't actually see it. And then I want to extrude this face, so extrude region. And I want to extrude it so it locks in with this face, and then just delete it. So basically now you get this nice little frame here that only can be seen from the front. And there you go. So now we have this frame, and I'm now going to take this frame. I'm going to just Control D to duplicate, and then right click to kind of put exactly where I want it to be. And then if I go back to my front view here, I want to enter my X-ray mode, and then go into edit mode, just a vertex. I'm going to grab all these. I'm not sure why not grab them. Oh, there you go. So now the reason I enter X-ray mode is because if I just do this in not X-ray mode, you'll see I didn't grab those back ones. So while I'm in X-ray mode though, I can grab all those back ones, and then I'm just going to move this about there. Maybe I'll move it a little bit closer, and then we'll move these top ones, I'll move them down to be about that perfect square. So something like maybe like that would be kind of what I'm looking for. And it actually almost looks like as if these are not lined up. So I'm going to toggle on my snaps and just make sure this is lined up. Okay, well I guess they are lined up. I don't know why, just to me they didn't look very lined up. They still don't, but you know, maybe it is. Maybe I'm going crazy today. Okay, so that's lined up there, and I'm going to turn off my X-ray mode. I'm just going to push this to the side and then push it up a little bit. To the side a little more. So if I look at my front view, I get that, and I might want to make this a little smaller. So I'm actually going to go object, set origin, and origin to geometry, and now I can actually scale it from the middle there. Well, it'll be a little smaller. That looks pretty good. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. And so what I'll do is later on when I come to wrapping it, I'll actually then mirror it to the opposite side. So for now we are okay with the frames. So let's go ahead and work on this little kind of music rest piece that you see right there. And so for this music rest piece, it seems a little bit complicated, but let's just go ahead and break it down piece by piece. So I'm going to start off by adding a cube. So add mesh cube, and I want to move this up a little bit. I'm going to start to scale it down, just make it this kind of elongated rectangle. That looks about right. So if I'm just going in a little bit more, I want this elongated rectangle to be actually on there. I might scale it down a little bit here and there. I want to push it in just a hair, and in this case I'm going to push in a little bit extra. So first thing I want to do is I want to grab these two edges here and here. I want to scale them out because I'm looking at this and it looks like it scales out a little bit. And then if I get really close, you see it kind of comes in and it goes down. So I might do here is I'm going to go ahead and add an edge loop. So I'm just going to hit Alt C to add an edge loop, and then we'll bevel that edge loop. So therefore I can push that to the side a little bit, and that looks about where I want it to be. And we'll go to the bottom here. It might actually help if I go into local view. So Shift I for that local view. I'm just going to grab this bottom one and extrude it down like so. That's pretty good. Then I might grab this face and pull it out a little bit to give me that kind of look that I'm going for. And so what I can do here, I'm going to go back to local view, Shift I. I'm going to grab all these faces in the back, and I just want it to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to push this in a little bit. And then if I really want to save some faces, I could. I don't think I'll be able to see that really, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete those faces. So I select all those ones in the back, hit delete, delete faces, and I think maybe I want to push these out just a hair more. That's pretty good. So right now we're not going to worry about cleaning up this mesh yet, but eventually I can definitely come in and make a few cleaning mesh techniques here. The only thing I might want to do is take this pulse out just a little more. Maybe this part too, just a little more. Okay. And then of course I can bring all of this whole thing up so it kind of matches with that edge, that lip there. And then just push back down a little bit. There you go. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with how that one looks. That piece there looks pretty good. And so now if I'm moving forward, I need to get a couple of these boards placed into the back. Now I'm moving fairly quick because I do know I want to try to keep this in a reasonable time limit. Okay, so I'm just going to select these backboards. Make sure it's, there you go. So now these backboards are pretty simple. Just a simple mesh or a cube mesh that I want to scale to be with my back view. I want it to be as large as the back should be. So that looks about the right height. Yeah, that looks pretty good there. And then when tumble around, I want to just grab this face and push it in. I might grab all the faces there and push it in as well. Okay, so now you'll notice that this has a little bit of a kind of a squeeze to it. So I can just go in here and add a board there. I'm just going to squeeze, or sorry, edge loop there. I'm just going to squeeze that a little bit, and maybe I'll push this in just a hair as well. So that looks pretty good for that. And now actually last thing I want to do is these tend to look like they're coming in just a hair. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to then push this one all the way up into the piano so I can't see the top. Okay, so now I have this kind of squeezed, stylized looking piece, and then I can go in here, and if I want to delete any of the faces I won't be able to see, so I won't be able to see any of those faces, so I can delete those. If I want to save just the slightest amount of texture space, I could come in and move these pieces so they line up at the top. That's totally your call. Okay, so now for this, I'm probably going to want to use an array, and then I'll just make 3 of them. But for now, I'm not going to do that because I want to later on build to, well, actually, I guess I will real quickly because I do want to line this up. So I'm going to select this, move it to the side, to one of the sides. If I just went back view, move to the side about here, and I'm going to go to apply scale, and I'm going to add a modifier. I want my array modifier. I'm just going to move this so it's about where I think it belongs. So maybe 2.35 for me. And I want to add that many of them. And so now I have this look. It looks about right. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty close. So now the next piece I need to do is create these 2 boards, which these boards are fairly straightforward. Just by adding in a mesh cube, I can make these nice long boards, flatten them out. These are just little planks, and then we'll scale down them a little bit so they kind of like that, like they're a little bit beveled or chiseled perhaps. Something like that looks pretty good. Now if I go back to my back view here, I can then scale these, place them where I want to place them. In this case, right there is where I want to place this board. Actually, I want to be this way. I think it'd be pretty good. And then for this one, I'm going to, because these can be seen at the same time, so I can go ahead and duplicate that with Control D. I want to just rotate this one a little bit and place that here, perhaps. Maybe up a little more. There you go. And then actually, I want to take these. I'm going to push them in so they kind of snap right against that back piece. And then with my object selection, I'm just going to grab this and duplicate it. Oops, I'm going to move it to the side, rotate it by 90 degrees. I'm just going to change that to 90 degrees. And now I want this to be right along this side. And then I do want to, my left side, I do want to move this into place and scale it down a hair, so therefore it fits on there as I would had anticipated. Okay, so there's that one. I can tweak it, the placement of it, if I need to, but then I can also duplicate this and move it to the opposite side, which we're not going to do quite yet. We'll do that later on, I think. But I'm pretty happy with how this looks so far. Okay, so we're moving right along. We got a couple of our boards in there. We got the back planks in there. Let me see. So now the next piece I would like to add in here would be these corner pieces. Now these are a little trickier, but we'll get through them as well. So for this piece, there's a few different ways we can do this. I actually think the easiest way will be to make a perfect cube. So I'm just going to go ahead and add cube. And then for this case, I'm going to move this cube out so we can see a little better. We are looking for a triangle at the top, so I'm just going to use my knife tool. And let's see, select the cube, K for my knife tool. Otherwise, you can also click it. I'm not sure why I'm not. There it goes. And I'm just going to cut this piece here, and we'll cut this piece right along there, and then back. Oops. Like so. That's pretty good. But the issue I do have right now is it looks like a few pieces, a few vertices. Let's see. Yeah, we have a few pieces that didn't quite go to that corner like I wanted to, so I'm just going to merge those there. That one looks okay. That looks fine. Okay. So now the three pieces I need are just these three, so I'm going to select those, Control I to invert, and then just delete those faces. Yeah, I think this is going to give me what I want, and then I'm just going to take this here, and we'll hit fill, and there you go. Okay. So now the only other thing here I can do is I'm going to take this and inset it just a little bit. And I'm going to pull it out, but now if I were to pull this straight out, it's going to give me kind of a weird working. So I want to go to normal, and now I can pull this out a little bit like so. And I think this is basically what I'm looking for here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my front view. I want to move this so it is, I'm going to actually turn on my snaps. I want to snap this to the corner of every different axis. But the problem is it's going to the closest, so we're going to change to center. So I went to my snap tool, vertex, and changed it snap width from closest to center. And now this is going to snap right to that center piece like I had anticipated it to. Now the only problem here is I want to then again move this, and so I said move this down until it's about as far as I want it to. And now keep in mind, if yours is looking like this and you can't move it down necessarily, that's because you have global. You want to go on normal and make sure you're in face mode, and you select all, and then you'll be able to move it to about there. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and move this, duplicate it with Control D, and I'm going to do the same thing on the piece up here. So I'm going to just snap it to this corner. I'm going to go to my left view and snap it to that corner. Okay. So we'll move this up a little bit more. And again, select my faces. I want to move this pretty far into that edge where I'm pretty happy with it. I think about here is pretty good. If I need to, I can also rotate, which I think I might need to in this case. I might want to rotate this just a little bit. So I'm going to go back to global. I'm going to rotate a little bit there. Okay. Ooh, I don't like how it looks. Let's see, let's go back to normal. Push this out to here. I think it's okay. Okay, so now with that being done, I can then, at a later time, I will mirror these two pieces to the opposite side. Again, I would like to unwrap them first and then I'll mirror them over, just so that way I'm not wasting time, but also I'm not wasting texture space for this. So the last piece that we're going to try to squeeze in here are the foot pedals. I don't know if you can see them very well, but there are 2 foot pedals there. They're pretty straightforward to model. What I'm going to do here is just go into object mode. I'm going to make sure that's selected, add a mesh. This mesh I'll just use to create our foot pedal, so something like that. And maybe I'll even come in here and I might move this out a little bit, add add a edge cut, maybe both ways. There, that's pretty good. And then I'm going to move this one out. Try this edge and move this out a little bit. Right now I'm in a normal view. I can change it to global. And then I want to take this, I'm going to extrude it out a little bit that way, and then grab this top piece and just push up that way. And I think we're pretty good there. If you really want to get fancy, you can also come in here and push this piece up a little bit more. Maybe even squash this piece down a little more so it gives you more of a stylized look. Almost like kind of a casket tombstone like look. And then again, we will come in here, we'll optimize it and mirror it over at a later time to have that foot pedal, or to have the recycled UVs, so therefore we can only texture, or we only have to texture one time. So so that finishes the piano. Again, we're coming here, we're going to optimize all this, and when we unwrap it, we'll optimize it, and after we unwrap it, we will prepare it for the final stage, which is texturing. But in the next video, we are going to work on this stool here, and then after the stool, we'll do a little bit of optimization with time. So we'll be doing that in the next video.